Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's show. I am your host, Matt Morris. Folks, today we are doing a special, very early in the day broadcast. President Trump is going to be speaking from inside of the Oval Office, quite literally any minute now. He just wrapped up giving a pretty long speech early in the morning at Quantico Marine Corps Base in Virginia. He is flying back to the White House right now, and he's going to be giving a pretty big announcement. We're not exactly sure what. There are two leading theories as to what today's Oval Office bombshell is going to be about. I'll tell you what those are here in a moment, but I want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Once again, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow. It really does help a lot. Thank you for being here. I know it's early. We keep on doing these special emergency broadcasts, but you guys keep on coming back, so I'm going to keep on doing them. So, folks, leading theories right now is that President Trump is either going to be issuing some type of declaration of war or declaration of military involvement. Some people are speculating off of the coast of Venezuela. We already have a military presence. We have a buildup in the South Caribbean. Goodness gracious. And so we might start directly striking Venezuelan narco-terrorism bases on the Venezuelan mainland. That is one theory, because President Trump and Pete Hegseth, they just spoke for about 90 minutes at Quantico Marine Corps Base about sort of rebuilding the U.S. military and making our military strong and robust and powerful again. Peace through strength kind of was the vibe. So it might be a declaration kind of relating to that, which is why people are speculating about Venezuela. Or there's another theory right now. Carolyn Leavitt, the White House press secretary, just about an hour ago, 55 minutes ago, posted this on X, on Twitter, happening today at the White House. The White House is planning to unveil a direct-to-consumer website for Americans to buy drugs dubbed Trump Rx, as well as announce that Pfizer plans to lower prices on several of its medications in the United States of America. So today, this could be a sort of U.S. drug price healthcare overhaul, some big announcement as it relates to American healthcare. Excuse me. Or it could be U.S. military related. I think both of these topics are pretty substantial. So right now, we're kind of on standby right now. You can see right now, Fox News, they are waiting to go live inside of the White House. So this Oval Office announcement, proclamation, declaration was scheduled to take place actually 7 minutes ago. So we're already a little bit behind schedule. I think that's because Trump's speech at Quantico, he just wrapped it up 15 minutes ago. So presumably, if I had to guess, he is in air on the presidential helicopter flying from the Air Force, from the Marine Corps base over to the White House right now. It's about a 20-minute flight if you're flying by helicopter. So we are a little bit behind schedule, or Trump is a little bit behind schedule, but that's okay because, folks, we have a lot to recap. We have a lot to talk about while we wait, and we're going to do that now. Take a look at this. This was Trump's audience at the Marine Corps base Quantico. Like I said, just 20 or 30 minutes ago, almost all of the generals and admirals of the United States Armed Forces were seated at Marine Corps base Quantico in Virginia ahead of today's speech by President Donald J. Trump and Secretary of War. This account, OSINT Defender, keeps calling him the Secretary of Defense. Dude, get with the times. Secretary of War. Secretary of War. Okay? Get with it. So you have almost every single senior ranking top-level U.S. military official in the audience here. What's the word? This is the top brass. This isn't your average everyday crowd. And by the way, these individuals, they were called back to the U.S., back to Quantico from all over the world. Some of these guys were stationed over here and over there. God knows where, the far reaches of the earth. They were called back to the U.S. Hey, get your booty back to the U.S. We got to have a nice speech here. And that is exactly what we had today. It started off, Pete Hegseth was talking to these fine gentlemen, and then Trump took the stage. So, you know, I figure while we wait for Trump to go live in the Oval Office, that will be happening at some point in the very near future. Why don't we just do a little bit of a recap? Why don't we take a look at what Hegseth and Trump had to say directly to the top brass of the U.S. military. So once again, folks, thank you everybody for tuning in. These early morning special broadcasts, they're really something else. You guys are the early birds, so thank you for being here. Let's start taking a look at what they had to say, a little bit of a recap while we wait for Trump to step back into the Oval Office here. Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War.
Generals, admirals, commanders, officers, senior enlisted, NCOs, enlisted, and every member of our American military. Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the War Department. Because the era of the Department of Defense is over. You see, the motto of my first platoon was those who long for peace must prepare for war. This is, of course, not a new idea. This crowd knows that. The origin dates to the 4th century Rome and has been repeated ever since, including by our first commander-in-chief, George Washington, the first leader of the War Department. It captures a simple yet profound truth. To ensure peace, we must prepare for war. From this moment forward, the only mission of the newly restored Department of War is this: warfighting, preparing for war and preparing to win, unrelenting and uncompromising in that pursuit.
Now, I think it's worth noting here. Does this necessarily mean that the Trump administration is getting ready to declare war or go to war with some adversarial superpower? No, not necessarily. I would speculate not. I think there is something to be said for the optics of, hey, we are America, we are back, we are prepared for war. You best not push us. Do not try us. Do not mess around because we are prepared to make you find out. Okay, I think that is kind of the message. It's not that we are necessarily looking to get into a war. It's to send a message, hey, we are strong and you better not mess around. Otherwise, you might have to find out.
Not because we want war. No one here wants war.
There you go.
But it's because we love peace.
Yeah, okay.
We love peace for our fellow citizens. They deserve peace, and they rightfully expect us to deliver it.
Seems to be the case. Pete Hegseth then went off in Quantico on all of the top generals. Uh-oh.
This administration has done a great deal from day one to remove the social justice, politically correct, and toxic ideological garbage that had infected our department, to rip out the politics. No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. As I've said before, and will say again, we are done with that shit.
We are done with that shit. I'll tell you something that never really made sense to me. You know, I did not serve in the military, so this is my outside perspective. So maybe I've got it wrong. You got to clue me in here. It seems to me, as far as I know, between men and women in the U.S. military, there are different physical standards. Men have this standard. Women have this standard. If you're a man, you got to do this many pull-ups in this amount of time, and you got to run this far and this fast. And if you're a woman, it's a little bit different. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Listen, either you are a capable warfighter, you're a capable soldier, or you are not. I think the standard, regardless of your sex, your biology here should be the same between men and women. And if a woman can do it, good, great, I guess. Good, great. But if you're not a woman, I'm sorry, but if you are a woman, we should not have lower standards. Okay, and you know what? There are some men that can't make those standards either. Okay, well, maybe they're not cut out for it. Okay. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announces the return. Well, okay, well, there you go. I swear I did not see this beforehand. Secretary Pete Hegseth announces the return of male-only standards. Well, there you have it.
That are arriving at your commands as we speak and in your inbox.
Too loud.
Today, at my direction, each service will ensure that every requirement for every combat MOS, for every designated combat arms position, returns to the highest male standard only.
There you go.
Because this job is life or death. Standards must be met. And not just met, at every level, we should seek to exceed the standard, to push the envelope, to compete. It's common sense and core to who we are and what we do. It should be in our DNA. Today, at my direction, we are also adding a combat field test for combat arms units that must be executable in any environment at any time and with combat equipment.
Oh.
These tests, they'll look familiar. They'll resemble the Army Expert Physical Fitness Assessment or the Marine Corps Combat Fitness Test. I'm also directing that warfighters in combat jobs execute their service fitness test at a gender-neutral, age-normed male standard scored above 70%.
Wow. So I wonder, wow, if you are a woman currently serving in the U.S. military and you have maybe never been able to meet the male standard, are these women that are currently in service going to be discharged because they cannot perform at that new standard? I wonder how that's going to work.
It all starts with physical fitness and appearance.
Interesting. Wow. That frankly is a very big development. By the way, folks, we are waiting for President Trump to go live in the Oval Office. Now, the way this normally works, real quick, I'm going to check on this. Okay. We've got the Associate Press broadcast. We have a live feed from outside of the White House, folks. Trump will be going live here any minute. And there's one other live feed I want to check. The official White House page on YouTube. They will generally go live also, and we kind of can get a heads up on when it's happening. So they have not gone live yet. So we are going to keep tabs on everything. But until then, folks, we are waiting for President Trump. He's got some big bombshell, some big announcement today, folks. And we're waiting to see what it is. It could be relating to this new, these new standards set forth for the U.S. military. Could be something else. We might be talking about healthcare today. Take a look at this.
I don't want my son serving alongside troops who are out of shape, or in combat unit with females who can't meet the same combat arms physical standards as men, or troops who are not fully proficient on their assigned weapons, platform, or task, or under a leader who was the first but not the best. Standards must be uniform, gender neutral, and high.
I mean, I don't really think this is that controversial. I think this is like basic critical thinking. Okay, if you are, let's say you are with your fellow soldiers, you are in a combat zone and you get shot. You're exchanging fire with the enemy. You get shot, man down. You're in the trench, and you need somebody to pick you up, put you on your shoulders, on their shoulders, or pick you up and pull you back, pull you out of the front line, pull you out of line of fire. I think most women just are not, just like literally, they're just not physically able to carry a 200-pound man. And that's a 200-pound man plus all of his equipment. He's got his backpack on, his helmet on, whatever else, right? So you might have to try to carry 240 pounds or something. It's just like mathematically the numbers don't make sense. I just think most women can't do it. Maybe some can. So you know what? If they can meet that new standard, then great. But the new standard is in. That is the message of the day. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth eviscerated the DEI top generals, okay?
Any place where tried and true physical standards were altered, especially since 2015 when combat arms standards were changed to ensure females could qualify, must be returned to their original standard. Other standards have been manipulated to hit racial quotas as well, which is just as unacceptable. This too must end. Merit only. The president talks about it all the time. Merit-based.
Merit-based, and the standards are for everybody. Yeah, we've had not just in the military, but for a long time now, we've had racial quotas and also gender quotas, sex quotas for different jobs, corporate jobs. University admittance rates. And that was through the affirmative action program that actually got deemed unconstitutional. The Supreme Court a couple months ago deemed it as actually, everybody, it is unconstitutional to not allow qualified white people and to then instead allow unqualified black people. That is actually racially discriminatory. It is unconstitutional to do that. And so now you're not going to do that. Fox News is live. No, well, they are live, but we are not inside the White House yet. Folks, right now we are waiting for President Trump to enter into the White House. I'm going to actually add a note to the top of the screen here just so people know. Trump speaking in Oval Office soon. Okay, just so people know kind of what we are waiting for here. People say, what's going on? What are we doing? Okay, so Trump is going to be giving some big announcement, some proclamation, some declaration, something inside the Oval Office here. Any minute, we are a little bit behind schedule today. Well, Trump is behind schedule today, so we are on standby. We're living on Trump time. He's going to be coming on out any minute. We don't know for sure what the announcement is. Now, Trump just got done speaking at Quantico Marine Base in Virginia. He's flying back to the Oval Office now. Maybe he landed recently. He might be there now. He got up there and spoke for about an hour today, Trump, early in the morning. Good for him. And, you know, of course, he was talking about the U.S. military, rebuilding the U.S. military, making the U.S. military great again. And so a lot of people are speculating that this Oval Office announcement coming on the back end of that will likewise be talking about the military, maybe something to do with some declaration of war. I don't know, some military involvement. Or people are likewise similarly speculating that, here it is, there's also some news regarding a new prescription drug program today. It might be announced soon, maybe later today, we're not sure, but Carolyn Leavitt, White House press secretary, posted about an hour ago. She said, the White House is planning to unveil a direct-to-consumer website for Americans to buy drugs, dubbed Trump Rx, as well as announce that Pfizer is planning to lower the prices of several of its medications in the United States of America. So we might actually be talking a little bit about both. We might be talking about Trump Rx, but also, you guys know how Trump kind of is all over the place sometimes. We might be talking about Trump Rx, this new drug purchasing program, but we also might be talking about the military and some future plans for the military. Now, I'm going to take a look at some of these super chats real quick. We have some of these coming in on YouTube. Everybody, real quick, thank you very much for tuning in, guys. We are live right now on Rumble, Matt Morris TV, on YouTube, Matt Morris TV. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We are also live on Twitch right now. Everybody, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Happy morning. Good morning. Time and time again with the super chat says, Hegseth is an absolute stud. This is what it's like to have an actual like man in the cabinet, in the administration, Secretary of War. Yeah. To have an actual guy, an actual human male leading things, calling the shots here. Yeah. Okay. This is Sora. Sora Katazuma. Thank you very much for that super chat. Thank you. She says, as a member of the armed forces, I'm glad to see the standard be upheld after it being bastardized for so long. It'll be harder for some, but it was never supposed to be easy. It's a sacrifice to uphold the nation. I think that right there, I like that. It's not supposed to be easy. Great point. Yep. Listen, you got to have whatever you're doing, military service, whatever, you're having a corporate job, you got to have some type of standard to make sure people are doing what they need to do, that they're performing at the level they need to perform at. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, the standards are back. Pete Hegseth issues a prayer for our service members. Take a look.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, folks. The audio on these clips is just all over the place. Apologies.
Yes. And most of all, Lord, please keep my soldiers safe. Lead them, guide them, protect them, watch over them. And as you gave all of yourself for me, help me give all of myself for them. And amen. I have prayed this prayer time since I've had the privilege of being your secretary. And I will continue to pray this prayer for each of you as you command and lead our nation's finest. Go forth and do good things. This.
There you go. It's good. So not only are we bringing back the standards, he is bringing back a little bit of Christianity here. This is a super chat from BG here on YouTube. He says, Saving Private Karen is the next historical movie I want to see. You know, you guys know I'm a little bit regressive. I'll probably piss off some of my viewers when I say this. Do you guys want to hear my honest to God take? I do not believe men and women are equal. I believe that men and women are different, that they excel beautifully in different areas of life. I do not believe that you can swap out a man for a woman and a woman for a man. I do not think that they are interchangeable. Men and women are different. As such, I think that the role of a man and woman in society and in the workplace is oftentimes different. Men and women are not the same. I think there are certain jobs that probably should just be for men, frankly. And I think maybe there are certain jobs that just should be for women, frankly. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. There are certain jobs here, like if you are a frontline soldier or something, I think women should not be involved in that. That's how I feel. That's my opinion. You call me regressive if you want, but this idea that men and women are one and one the same, they're completely interchangeable. They're just interchangeable cogs. No, they're human beings and they are different. We are different. They're not the same. And this delusion that they are exactly the same in every way, I'm sorry, it's just not the case. Every single metric of reality indicates that they are not. We are different. And it doesn't mean that one is better. Men are better than women or vice versa. No, they're different and they excel in different areas. You know, there are things women are better at than men and vice versa. They're different, but they are different. You need to understand that. Okay, we got to bring this country back to reality. That's how I feel, okay? Now this is where we get to President Trump. President Trump says he will fire top military leaders on the spot if he doesn't like them today in Quantico. Take a look.
This time. So I'm going over, I'm going to be meeting with generals and with admirals and with leaders. And if I don't like somebody, I'm going to fire him right on the spot.
He's going to Quantico, and if he doesn't like them, they are fired on the spot. Now, as far as I know, he did not fire anybody. Maybe he did. I haven't heard about it. I guess we got to figure it out. We're talking about now Trump. This was when he was on his way over to Quantico. By the way, Trump is coming back to the White House now, folks. We are waiting for Trump to step into the White House. Trump was up bright and early today. He got up early, flew over to this Marine Corps base. And so this is when he was leaving the White House, talking about these 100,000 federal layoffs that are inbound because the government is set to be shut down a little bit later today. Seems like that shutdown is happening.
If there is a shutdown.
Oh my goodness gracious, folks. I feel so bad. These clips the audio is just insane.
If there is a shutdown, how many federal workers do you plan to lay off?
Well, we may do a lot, and that's only because of the Democrats. And as you know, they want to be able to take care of people that have come into our country illegally, and no system can handle that. And so we're totally opposed on that. But we can't take it. We just can't do it. I'd love to do everybody. I'd love to do the whole world. But our country can't handle people that come into our country illegally. And they want to give them full health care benefits. They want to open the wall again. Can you believe it? I can't even believe it. They want to open the wall. They haven't taken away boys playing in women's sports. They haven't done that. Men playing in women's sports. It's like they don't change. They lost an election in a landslide, and they don't change.
So there is a word that there's a term here that I am about to coin. I have just invented this term. You guys got to give me credit for this someday when it catches on. Political terrorism. I've never heard anybody say that before. That is what the Democrats, led by Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, they are engaging in political terrorism right now. What do I mean by that? They are threatening to, not threatening, they are going to shut down the government today. That's what's happening because the Trump administration is refusing to give them $1.5 trillion to subsidize the existence of illegal aliens in this country and reopen the wall. What else do you call that? They are trying to extort the Trump administration and the American people, the American taxpayer, because we're not going to give them over $1 trillion, 1.5 trillion for their beloved illegal aliens. So they're going to shut down the government. What else do you call that other than political terrorism? Hey, okay, I came up with that. Political terrorism. That is the word. That's the phrase of the day. That is what it is. Let's be very clear about that. Now, what is this here, folks? We're waiting for President Trump. He's coming out soon. I'm keeping tabs on this. Stand by. Mass outrage is ensuing among Democrats because Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced that the military combat standards must be high, promotions must be based on merit, and that members of the military must not be fat or out of shape or poorly groomed. So, hey, take a look at me. If I want to serve in the military, I probably need to get a haircut. I need to shave my little stubble. So, hey, I am unfit to serve. At least right now, I got to go shave my facial hair a little bit here. Anyway, Pete Hegseth would not be happy with me. Let's play the clip.
The male standard.
But when it comes to any job that requires physical power to perform in combat, those physical standards must be high and gender neutral.
Yep.
If women can make it, excellent. If not, it is what it is.
It is
yeah, and
what
I would
it
assume
is.
that means that there are many men who will also not meet those standards. And Secretary Hegseth said there is nothing wrong with this kind of conversation that he wants to bring up now. Not even a conversation, a mandate that there has to be gender neutral attire, that leadership must be apolitical. And he told this crowd here that hundreds all around the country and all the world, any military member who is 1 star and above, that if any of what he says cause their hearts to sink, that maybe they should consider resigning. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
So what is the message? He's like, hey, listen, pretty much this is the essence of what Hegseth said. If you don't like what you're doing, goodbye, then get the hell out. If you don't like what we're doing with the U.S. military here, then get the hell out. Now, I'll tell you something. You guys remember, I used to be a full-time Twitch streamer. I spent 8 years of my life streaming on Twitch, streaming video games. In fact, we're live on Twitch right now. These guys can back me up. I did that in my 20s for 8 years. I was a Twitch streamer. So every day I spent 10 or 12 hours a day talking to young men on the internet that are playing video games. And we would talk about the military. This was during the Biden era. A lot of it was during the Biden era. I'll tell you something. Let me tell you what I heard from young American men for 4 years during the Biden era. We talk about the military. Hey, what do you think about the military, young 21-year-old American boy, American man? It's gay. Military's gay. That's what I heard for 4 years from young American men during the Biden era. Well, I don't want to join the military because the military's gay. The military's gay. I don't want to do it. And you know what? Frankly, under Biden's leadership, it was getting a little bit gay. Let's just be honest. So now, thank God the Trump administration is back. Pete Hegseth is the Secretary of War. And we are kind of recovering the military here because those young men, you know what? Yeah. When you had transsexual generals and transsexual commanders, and it's like, yeah, it is getting a little bit, yeah. So we are, and now, by the way, what we saw during the Biden era was that recruitment was abysmal. They couldn't get anybody to join the military. Now Trump is back. Recruitment is surging. It's through the roof. As much as the Democrats, the progressives hate it, if they want people to join the military, they have to appeal to young men. Young men see right through the bullshit of the far left. Young men are not having anything to do with what the far left are doing. You guys know this generation of young men are the most conservative, dare I say, regressive American generation in like ever, maybe ever. Does anybody here have a 20-year-old son? An 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old son or grandson? You know what I'm talking about. These young men, these Gen Z, these young men, these guys they're not having it. They are as conservative, dare I say, regressive as they can be. They are not tolerating any of this radically progressive shenanigans. They're not having it. This is when Trump took the stage at Quantico Marine Base. I'll play this one here.
Thank you very much, Pete. Great job you're doing, too. Fantastic job. I've never walked into a room so silent before. This is Don't laugh. Don't laugh. You're not allowed to do that. You know what? Just have a good time. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. And if you want to do anything you want, you can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank. There goes your future. But you just feel nice and loose, okay? Because we're all on the same team. And I was told.
I wonder, I have no idea. You guys got to clue me in. Is anybody here active service or recently active service in the U.S. military? You guys got to let me know because I'm on the outside here. Not amongst the, okay, pardon my lack of proper terminology. I don't know. Not amongst the lower ranks of the U.S. military. I'm talking higher ranks, senior ranking members of the U.S. military. What percent of the senior ranking members of the U.S. military support President Trump? It seems to be that the lower ranking members of the U.S. military, it seems like they love President Trump. But I'm talking the senior ranking. These are your generals. I don't know who. Your senior ranking members, do they like President Trump? And I want to wait for the, you guys got to tell me, hell yeah, they love him. They love him. Okay, I got a lot of veterans here in the chat. Well, thank you guys. First off, 90% like him. 95% like him. 70-30. 90% like him. Okay, so majority. That's kind of what I'm vibing out here in the live chat. Okay, I just little survey here. A good 90%. Okay, all right. So, by the way, keep in mind, the reason I ask is because who was President Trump's audience today? This was Trump's audience. So these are the guys we're talking about here. Maybe a tough crowd today. Maybe a tough crowd. Okay. I'm going to keep playing this because Trump gave about an hour-long speech. We're looking at some of the highlights here.
There could be no higher honor than to serve as your commander-in-chief. It is a great honor. I look at you, you're just incredible people. Central casting, I might add. To each and every one of you, I thank you for your unwavering devotion to the armed forces and to the country that we've all sworn a sacred oath to defend. We all have that oath, every one of us. I'm thrilled to be here this morning to address the senior leadership of what is once again known around the world as the Department of War.
The Department of War, the senior leadership.
In this effort, we're a team, and so my message to you is very simple. I am with you, I support you, and as president, I have your backs 100%. You'll never see me even waver a little bit. It's the way it is. And that includes our great police officers and firemen and all of these people that are doing so well. Together over the next few years, we're going to make our military stronger, tougher, faster, fiercer, and more powerful than it has ever been before. In this effort,
so the military's back. Oh, goodness, look at this. So earlier this morning when Trump was giving this speech here, the entire nation, National Report, CBS, MSNBC, Fox News, Fox Live, News Nation, BBC News, Fox News, everybody. Hey, listen, Trump has complete and total media capture. Now that he is back in the White House, everybody's paying attention. All eyes on Trump. Folks, any minute now, Trump is going to be going live inside of the Oval Office, and he is going to be giving some big announcement. There are seems to be two leading theories as to what he's going to be talking about now today. Some big announcement. I'll tell you what. In fact, I'll show you the schedule here. Can I zoom in on this? 11 a.m., the president delivers an Oval Office announcement. And later today, this is closed press, he's set to sign some executive orders. We have seen him lump the executive orders in with Oval Office announcements also. He might lump these two together. We are a little bit behind schedule. We're 39 minutes behind schedule. So, folks, Trump might go live in the Oval Office here. He might start talking about the military, bringing the military back, he might announce some military action. A lot of people are speculating that we are going to talk about Trump's new pharmaceutical program called Trump Rx, where you will be able to buy certain drugs directly on the internet from the U.S. government at subsidized prices. Pfizer has agreed to reduce their prices for a lot of their drugs, so they worked out a deal reducing pharmaceutical prices for Americans. So that might be what we're talking about today. And then in addition, we might get these executive orders also. So today's going to be a big day, but it is true. We are 39 minutes behind schedule right now because Trump was, I think his speech went a little bit over schedule over at Quantico. He flew back. He's getting ready now. So we are on standby. I saw the question, how long are we going to be live for today? Well, I think until at least this Oval Office announcement is over. So I'm going to wait here with you guys for Trump to come on out. We're going to hear everything that he has to say. And then also, we'll see what else happens. Now, I'm getting reports here, folks. Just I need to vet this before I announce it. Where are you folks seeing this? I don't want to say it until I know for a fact that this is what is going on. I'm just looking at my live chat here that allegedly there is another active shooter scenario. I'm trying to get a confirmation here. Stand by. Stand by, folks. I'm getting a report in right now. Breaking active shooter lockdown at JBMDL. That's got to be some acronym for something I'm trying to see. Joint Base McGuire Dix Lakehurst. We received a direct message from someone inside of the base for JBMDL active shooter lockdown. There's an active shooter joint base MDL at building 2309. All personnel are to lock down until this was posted 8 minutes ago. Okay. Stand by, folks. I'm going to look. I noted there's not a single news outlet covering this. We are the only people covering this right now, so stand by. This is coming out right now. I'm trying to get some more information for you folks. How about real quick on Google Maps? I'm going to pull this up so everybody knows where it is, so you can see exactly where this is happening. Joint, but standby, crazy day. It's called McGuire. Yeah. So this is in New Jersey. Is that correct? This is an Air Force base. Seems to be. Yeah, Joint Base McGuire Air Force Base. We've got a bunch of these. Looks like Strato tankers parked on the runway there. So allegedly this is where it is. I am going to try to find more information here for you folks. Stand by here, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen another report, another independent report coming out. Breaking Joint Base MDL McGuire Dix Lakehurst, New Jersey on lockdown. Active shooter reported. All personnel ordered to shelter in place. Threat details are unknown. Stay tuned for updates. And of course, once again, right now, folks, we are waiting for President Trump to come out. President Trump is going to be speaking from the Oval Office any second now. We're going to see that light up here. They're going to be going live. So we're right now, I guess, hey, we're doing some emergent news coverage here, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, I have a slightly better photo I can put up here on screen. Folks, every day, not a day goes by at this point. Breaking news, Joint Base McGuire Dix Lakehurst near Lakewood has been placed on lockdown amid reports of an active shooter. There's live footage of the base. Brad, where do you have that? Where do you see the live footage? I'm going to try to find that for you folks right now. One moment here. Okay, I have live footage here. We have aerial footage. Okay. One moment here, folks. This is that Air Force base. Yo, the YouTube icon is 12,000. Does he have 12,000 viewers on YouTube? Yes, we have 12,000 viewers on YouTube and 1,500 on Rumble and 800 on Twitch. Live concurrent viewers. So once again, folks, thank you everybody for tuning in today. Can I get you more information on the active shooter? Yes. I'm working on it right now. Okay. Okay. I just want to get that up there on screen so people know what you are looking at here. So right now, folks, we are waiting for President Trump to go live inside of the Oval Office. That's happening any second. Beyond that, there is also reports of an active shooter inside of Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst. It's an Air Force base in southern New Jersey. Look on the map here. This is where it is. So we've got footage of the tarmac there. Zoom out. Everybody knows. New Jersey. There you go. So we are scouting this. I'm going to try to find another view here for you guys. Maybe we can get some better footage. So stand by here, ladies and gentlemen. Need to copy that. Ladies and gentlemen, the official White House page has now gone live. So Trump is set to come out literally any second now. So I'm trying to think about how I want to do this with you guys. We're going to be covering two stories at the same time. And I'm not sure exactly what I want to do here. I think that we need to get both of these on screen. So we're going to do something absolutely crazy. Stand by here, folks. Oh well, we might have just lost our aerial footage of the base. We're gonna put that right there. Well, we might be losing our aerial footage. Never mind, we are back. High-ranking officer said no longer on lockdown, no active shooter. Okay, I want to get a confirmation of that. Hold up. Stand by. I see the exact opposite. I see Governor Phil Murphy on his official account. This is what I see. There is currently a lockdown in place at Joint Base McGuire. He posted this 5 minutes ago. If you are on the base, please follow the instructions. The governor posted this. I'm trying to find the... Okay, stand by. One moment. Joint Base MDL has not posted anything on their official page. I'm scanning around here, folks. We got a lot going on. Thank you, folks. Like I said, the governor 6 minutes ago said lockdown. That's the latest thing that I have seen. JBMDL. Breaking news, active shooter. That's what I see. Folks, a little bit of a report here.
McGuire Air Force Base in Lakehurst is currently under lockdown for an active shooter. The base posted this hour, quote, all personnel are on lockdown until further notice. All personnel outdoors should take cover. The Air Force Base is in Burlington County, about 15 miles outside New Jersey's state capital in Trenton. I want to go back to Brett. Brett, your first thoughts on this, and I'm looking down at the enormity of this base. Okay, it was combined, two bases together in 2009. It's one of the largest in the country.
My first reaction is here we go again, Harris. I mean, and this is the problem. It exactly relates to what we're talking about with making sure our military is ready.
McGuire Air Force.
So seems like the lockdown is in effect right now, folks. Trump is speaking. I don't have any audio. Their audio is muted. That's on them. That's not on us here. Do we have the Associate Press live broadcast? A little bit of a crazy day here, folks. Guys, I'm going to tell you what, it seems as if the official White House feed forgot to turn on the audio. I think on their end, they did not unmute their microphone. I think they're all pulling from one. Okay, we're back.
For drugs, and a lot of excuses were made for that, but it went on for many years, many years, decades, and it's not going on any longer. We're going to be paying the lowest price now. We're going to be paying whatever the lowest price is. Favored nations. This will save American taxpayers and consumers hundreds of millions of dollars a year. I want to thank Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla, who is one of the most respected people in the industry and in business generally. I will say that, Albert, for joining us today, along with Secretary, as you know, we've got a number of secretaries. Secretary is Lutnick behind me, I hope. Where's Lutnick?
He's over here, sir, to the right.
You can get over here. I'm looking for Lutnick. Our great Secretary of Commerce. Good, I'm glad you're here. You would have been in trouble. Howard Lutnick, great. Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., CMS Administrator, Mehmet Oz, Medicare Administrator Chris Plump, and the FDA Commissioner Marty McCary, and I just want to thank them all. They've been working hard on many things. I think this is one of the biggest medical announcements that this office has ever made, because we're talking about price reductions, as you'll see in a couple of minutes, that are incredible. For many years, Americans have paid the highest prices anywhere in the world for prescription drugs. They paid far more, 10 times, 13 times, 15 times more than other countries for the exact same product. A major reason is that the American consumers have been subsidizing research and development costs for the entire planet.
That is true.
They put all of that on us, and
Very
yet they
true.
were the beneficiaries too. So it's being changed as of today. The United States at just 4% of the world's population and consumers, only 13% of all prescription drugs, yet pharmaceutical companies make 75% of their profits from the United States. So think of that. We have 4% of the market, 13% of prescription drugs, and yet, Albert, I didn't know you were that violent. I'm surprised you're agreeing to this.
I'm getting better.
No, he's doing the right thing. Thank you. And yet they make 75% of their profits from the American customers, so it's something. That's why I signed an executive order combating this practice, and we signed it very happily a little while ago. Today, Pfizer is committing, as will other drug companies as we go through the weeks, but Pfizer is truly one of the biggest in the world and one of the greatest in the world. Today, Pfizer is committing to offer all of their prescription medications to Medicaid, and it will be at the most favored nation's prices. It's going to have a huge impact on bringing Medicaid costs down, like nothing else. I told you that
Very big deal.
In my first term, I was so proud of the fact that for the first time in 28 years, drug prices came down. And I had a news conference that I explained it was 1/10 of 1%, but it was down. And here we're talking about, in one case, over 1,000%. This is a critical step forward to our work and to improve health care, and hardworking, low-income Americans, especially low-income Americans, will be helped so greatly. In addition, Pfizer is agreeing to provide some of their most popular current medications to all consumers at heavily discounted prices of anywhere between 50 and even 100%. And that's off the price. And in some cases, even more than that. These drugs will be available for direct purchase online at a website operated by the federal government. We're also announcing that Moving forward, all new medications introduced by Pfizer to the American market will be sold at the reduced most favored nation costs.
That is a very big deal. That is a massive
what other
deal.
countries are paying, who have been much lower for many years. Furthermore, Pfizer will invest $70 billion to reshore domestic manufacturing facilities. In other words, they're going to bring a lot of their facilities to make their drugs and make what they make, their product. They're going to make it in the United States. I appreciate that $70 billion investment and fund research and development right here in America. We're working with other major pharmaceutical companies to secure similar agreements. Everyone understands that the status quo where Americans pay more for drugs, prescription drugs, and they pay more than foreign countries who take advantage of us in many other ways, although not so many anymore. I think we've pretty well got that stopped, right? I think so. We've stopped that, but they took advantage of a lot of other presidents,
Better audio.
I can tell you. But we're making this pay to be very unacceptable, what they've done in the past. That's why my administration has also taken historic action to investigate the unfair and discriminatory trade practices of other countries that extort our pharmaceutical makers to shift costs onto the American consumer. They say, no, give us a price, a very low price, and just charge the American consumer, charge it to the U.S. The United States is done subsidizing the health care of the rest of the world. It's a big thing. I can't tell you how big this is. And
it is a massive deal.
I was all set to go on it first term, but then you had the COVID, and we had to focus on that. But I said, I want to get back here because you're talking about 1,400, 1,500, 1,600% reductions in some cases. But by taking this bold step, we're ending the era of global price gouging at the expense of American families, and we're making America healthy again, which is our little theme for the people behind me. And I want to just ask Secretary Kennedy to come up, and we'll start, and we'll go through it with Oz and Klomp and Bourla and McCary, and we'll go through it, and if you have any questions. But this is a really big announcement. This is something that most people said was not doable. And other countries are going along because we told them, if you don't go along, they didn't have to go along. But if they didn't go along, we were going to put extra tariffs on those countries. And we were going to charge them the amount of money that they should be paying for the reduction in costs. So I think we had a pretty good negotiating position. So, Bobby, I'd like you to speak about this, and what a great job, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to start by thanking a couple of people who aren't up here, Theo Merkel, Dr. Heidi Overton, who played key roles in this negotiation and helped make this happen.
Lockdown is still in effect, by the way.
Also, Inma Hernandez,
still in
who's
effect.
not up here, but John Brook and Chris Klomp, who were the people who were negotiating, in some cases, I think including last night, 24 hours without any sleep. This would not have happened without President Trump's leadership. I told my son last night, we're all under secrecy about this, but I told my son late last night, a 27-year-old son, Connor, who's a very liberal Democrat. And I told him this was happening, and he just paused for a minute, and he said, "Thank you, Dad, I'm so proud of you." Because this is something Democrats have wanted for 20 years. Republicans have wanted for 20 years. Everybody said they're going to do it. Nobody has even taken a step towards doing it. And the reason was because it was such a daunting task. And, even all of the negotiators, I also want to thank Howard Lutnick. This would not have happened without him. But even all of the negotiators here and all the people on at HHS and at the White House team, all we could see was all the reasons that this couldn't happen. Everybody had tried. Nobody could make it happen. And it was President Trump alone who, with his doggedness, his persistence, he saw this clearly in a way that none of us other, in its most simplest terms. Why are we spending more on this country than any other country? Why are we spending 75% of the revenues that come to the pharmaceutical industry? We're doing all the research.
Lockdown lifted, we are good.
Slipstream. And President Trump, I would say, harangued and harassed us to make this happen. I was getting calls at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. Oh, are you asleep? And you got to get MFN done. And at one point, Dr. Oz told me I can't take the president's calls anymore. I have a lot of reasons. My wife has a lot of reasons to say to me about different things that happen in my life. Doesn't that give you anxiety? And I say, I don't get anxiety. This gave me anxiety. Oh, thank you, President Trump. It would not have happened without your leadership. This is real leadership. It's a president who has a vision and makes that vision happen. And I can't think of any other president of the United States who could have done this in our history. I'm very grateful to you. This is an extraordinary benefit to the American people. Thank you for your vision, President Trump, your bold action, your unwavering commitment to health and well-being of the American people. Never has a president stood up so bravely for the American people with respect to health care. And by the way, I forgot to thank Albert Burla. Albert and I have had a long history of antipathy and antagonism toward each other. But I have to say his leadership in this took tremendous courage. And he really created a template for corporate responsibility, for putting public health ahead of his individual interests. So I'm very, very grateful to you for that, Albert. Under the leadership of President Trump, the U.S. government is now acting as a tough negotiator on behalf of the American people. Today is about fairness, it's about equality, it's about giving hope to those who are trying to stay healthy, who are managing illness, and who are fighting for their lives. We refuse to make the most vulnerable citizens continue to pay an unthinkable price for the world's pharmaceutical breakthroughs, which we pay for. This policy is a shield for the chronically ill who have carried the burden of high drug costs for far too long. It's a signal to every American family that we're finally putting their health and financial security first. And it sets a new standard, one that says we won't write blank checks to the drug industry any longer. No family should ever be forced to choose between filling a prescription and putting food on the table. Americans should not be gouged paying 300 or 400 or 1,000% more than people in other countries for the exact same drug, many times manufactured in the same factory in New Jersey and sold in Great Britain for 1/10 the price that it's being sold for here. Yeah. This week, and I was with some friends up in Martha's Vineyard, and an old friend, one of my oldest friends, his wife and daughter have a chronic disease. And that chronic disease last year cost $150,000 to treat. And the mother had to choose whether she was going to take that money and spend it on her or her daughter. And she spent it on her daughter. So she had to make that choice. It's a choice that no mother should have to make. We did a roundtable recently on drug prices. One patient spent more than $180,000 on one drug. One cashed in all of her savings and worked 3 jobs to make ends meet. One almost quit her job and moved to Germany to get the drug cheaper. Some looked at getting the drug on unsafe secondary markets because they could not afford it through the legitimate markets. Today, we begin to right that ship. For the mother trying to help her child get better, for a grandmother at the pharmacy counter, and for millions of Americans who want to restore their health. Today is about another promise made by President Trump and another promise kept by President Trump to the American people.
This is a big deal.
It's only just the beginning. Yeah. This is all thanks to your unwavering leadership, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There is a fine line between vision and hallucination. People have to follow you for it to be a vision. And President Trump, you made a lot of people following you, an idea that most people thought was not possible, even remotely. And when we have that shared vision, and I'll speak to some of the people who are involved in this process because it was incredible effort that gives me great pride to serve in this administration. And the fact that it did not leak is also an issue of pride for us because these were tough challenges. And Albert Bourla looks very calm up here and cat-like, but he is ferocious when you get him in a negotiating room. This is true for all the pharmaceutical companies that we are negotiating with. And Secretary Kennedy, my son Oliver, who I told about this deal as we was walking over here, is a Republican. And you know what he said? Thank you for making us proud. Because it's not just a Democratic problem, it's a Republican problem. This has not happened before. And it took a crusader like President Trump, with the support of Secretary Kennedy, Secretary Lutnick, I see the vice presidents here as well, just unwavering, dogged pursuit of change. And now I have to admit that I know the president has me on speed dial. And most of the time when he would call me, as Secretary Kennedy alluded to, it was about MFN. And he always had reasons why we needed to go faster and why people were being hurt today, because we're allowing the kinds of pricing that had been tolerated for so many decades in America. The time of the day didn't matter, the day of the week didn't matter, and that's how the president was functioning. This was such an important part of what he saw as his legacy, which is why it brings such pride to all of us up here and many others to deliver it. And the laser focus that the president had on this, which he shared with me the day that I was nominated, that he nominated me for this position, and has reminded me frequently since, made it a top priority for us as well at CMS. Now, to do this, you have to have tactics, not just vision, but tactics. And the first tactic the president shared was to introduce me to Albert Bourla. He took us to dinner with Secretary Kennedy, and he argued, and he's a great deal maker, as you know, that if you're going to make a deal of this scope, of this nature, you need trust. So the president lit the kindling, he got the embers going, but he needed us to nurture that beginning of a fire so they would blaze into what today we can announce as the grand deal, one of the greatest ever, certainly in the space of pharmaceuticals. I gained to respect Albert, and I'll tell you why in particular. It was because he recognized the dangerous problems facing so many Americans, that they had to choose between taking medications prescribed by their doctor that could be life-saving, or shopping at the grocery store, paying for their kids a fundamentally important need that would be squeezed out because they couldn't compromise on drugs, or often worse, they compromise on the drugs. 1/3 of all prescriptions are not filled in the pharmacy because of this. We talked through the winter, we talked through the spring, we talked through the summer, and we got nowhere. We stalled. The industry is powerful, they're important, they have smart people. There's no reason for them to give the numbers that the president is articulating today. And you see these numbers on the charts around us. These are massive wins for the American people. But the president in July demanded, after the executive order, that manufacturers make a firm commitment and to lower prices or else. And it sent shockwaves through the industry. It got the ball rolling again. Our talks with Albert heated up, but it wasn't until last week, if you want an inside story, it wasn't until last week that we made a major breakthrough. And our hardworking team embarked on a remarkable story that I think books will be written about, 24/7 nonstop with industry, with Albert, with his great team at Pfizer. And with this partnership, we began to deal with the fundamental challenges we have, which is protecting medical advances for the future while at the same time securing the prices Americans want today. We're going to continue to stimulate and strengthen innovation. That's what a great country does, and we are a great country with a great leader. We're going to protect the U.S. hegemony in R&D. We dominate the planet in discovering cures for illnesses. Yep. All those orphan ailments, all those remarkable advances, they come from research labs here with companies like Pfizer and other great ones in the pharmaceutical space. We're going to lead in the life sciences. We're going to lead in ideas. And we're going to make sure that we do all that while we're being fair to the American people, especially our most vulnerable. We're going to finally deliver on the fair drug prices that President Trump has been speaking about for 2 terms. We're going to celebrate this historic day, I predict, this historic day in the medical field for generations to come. The heroic negotiators that I do feel compelled to mention, and Secretary Kennedy kindly also mentioned their names. Some of them can't be in here because they're busy negotiating future deals. Inma Hernandez-Delso, John Brooks, who's a deputy administrator of mine, Theo Merkel, who is in the back and tall and hard to miss with DPC, and Corey Enslin with the same group did a spectacular job, and Don Dempsey at OMB. Just wonderful human beings worked tirelessly to get this done. We were able to secure this first MFN deal, and the president touched on this, but we have much more to come. You'll be hearing breaking news from the president for the rest of the fall. And Mr. President, these brilliant minds are here because of you. Now, I don't want to just pay homage to this. I want to actually speak this a little bit. The passion to protect the American people brings top-tier Americans into the government. We've created a powerful administration with the president's leadership, an administration of winners. People get things done. They see the generational opportunity to fix the biggest problems our nation faces. And the person who led this negotiation, Chris Klump, embodies this seal. Now, Chris Klump came to visit Secretary Kennedy and I the very first day we were looking for staff to try to bring in the government. And neither of us really had an idea of how challenging this might be. And he came to the interview, and we knew that he had built a business that was worth several $100 million. And the secretary, very poker-faced as he tends to be, looked at him and said, "Are you willing to give it all up and move your family to Washington?" A young family, 4 young children, beautiful wife. "Are you willing to come across the country and serve our nation, serve this president to ensure vital programs like Medicare, which he runs, will keep our seniors healthy for years to come?" He gave it all up, like so many have in this administration, passionate to follow the president's lead and serve under Secretary Kennedy. And for those of you at home who are watching, and I hope there are quite a few, I think this shows just how cool a place it is to work, is in this government. And I take great pride in handing the ball to Chris. Chris, tell the American people what they have won thanks to your passionate ability to deliver on President Trump's promise.
Thanks very much. Thank you, Mr. President. You have enabled something that as recently as last night, nearly everyone has said was impossible. And Secretary Kennedy and Administrator Oz, thank you for having trust in us as a negotiating team to drive this forward on behalf of the American people. It is an absolute honor and privilege. And Mr. Bourla, to you and to the team at Pfizer, you have taken a step that I think few appreciate, requires a level of courage to change something that for decades administrations have tried. And there was no incentive rationally for you to do, and yet you've done it because you recognized the opportunity to align your economic interest with the social interest of the American people, and we are grateful. Today is historic, as has been discussed. This is a major win in the battle for affordable health care and affordable drugs. As the president said, on average, we pay nearly 3 times what the rest of the wealthy world pays for branded pharmaceuticals. And yet we drive more than 50% of global R&D, 50% of revenues, nearly 70% of profits. It's unjust. It's morally unjust. And when this happens, we stifle innovation and we limit access for the most vulnerable people across the planet and in America who need these medications. And so the president directed us to make deals. That's what he does, and it's what we do. And all great deals, and this is a great deal, are rooted in principles. And this deal was rooted in the principle of fairness. Now, the president could have directed us to go to the poorest country on the planet and find the cheapest price for every single drug and bring that back to the United States and use the might of the government to insist that that's the price we pay. And that might have worked, actually, for just a little bit. But very quickly, it would have utterly destroyed innovation in pharmaceuticals. It would have destroyed American primacy in building life-saving medications. There are nearly 20,000 known diseases on the planet. We have treatments or cures for far fewer than 10% of them. So that would have been a bad strategy, and it would have limited access to those who need those medications the most. But he didn't call for that. He didn't call for 50% lower than the lowest price on the planet. What he called for was fairness. And that's a powerful principle, because we all grow up wanting to be on the right side of fair. And it allowed us to do what has not been done before, which is to call on manufacturers and ask them to be fair, and allows us to go to countries and ask them to pay their fair share in the battle against global disease. And that is the unlock for this great deal. Now, it's my privilege to talk just for a few minutes about the details of the deal.
Okay.
First, let's start with the definition of MFN. What do we mean by that? This is not made-up list prices that have often been quoted in prior administrations, stuffed with fees and rebates. We're talking about we start at net prices, after fees, after rebates, the prices people actually pay here, the prices people actually pay in other wealthy countries. We then index to a basket of countries, wealthy countries, across the world. And we go drug by drug, and we look for the lowest price. And that becomes the starting point for what an MFN price is in the United States. And then we've built this principles of fairness on 5 key pillars, as we've talked about. Number 1, as has been discussed, direct access for patients at Trump Rx, which is a site soon to be launched, available often at full MFN and always at lower prices than currently available. This is bypassing middlemen. It increases transparency. In many instances, prices are 80% lower than they are today. No more Canadian detours to purchase drugs more inexpensively at our neighbor. You do it from home, you do it a click. This is American ingenuity outsmarting the system. Number two, the president was very clear to us and directed us to ensure that we secured the lowest prices for the most vulnerable Americans, those who are served by Medicaid. So we focused there first. So Pfizer will be putting virtually all of its portfolio of drugs at MFN prices available to Medicaid in the near future. This safeguards the program. This ensures that this program lives as a lifeline without undue burden on the taxpayer for those who need it most, for our vulnerable Americans whom we are charged morally to care for. The third principle is about future-proofing fairness. This is the idea that Pfizer has committed, as are other manufacturers, that they will not launch a new drug for commercial, Medicare, Medicaid, or cash pay markets at a price that is higher than the other wealthy world. Now, they are free to price their drugs wherever they want. These are not price caps. These are not price controls. They can price however they'd like. We're simply asking them, and they are committing not to undercut us in other countries. This is an essential principle. This allows us to retrain other countries to appropriately value innovation for their citizens, to appropriately understand what fair share means, to contribute global R&D. This allows us not to compromise access for those who need it most.
Europeans,
and this is a powerful commitment.
Time to pay your fair share.
The fourth principle is around shared savings. As our commerce colleagues and as our U.S. trade representative colleagues succeed in encouraging other countries to pay more for existing medications, a portion of that will go to fund additional R&D. And a portion of that will repatriate back to the United States to offset prices, lower prices further for Americans on those existing drugs. And the fifth principle, as discussed, with hats off to Secretary Lutnick and Ambassador Jameson Greer from U.S. Trade, is about Pfizer committing to onshore 100% of the value of all imports that it currently imports to the United States, thus ensuring that we seal our great American resurgence. If you're watching this right now and you have been looking for evidence that this is a president who knows and cares about you, who is fighting for you, who is fighting for every American, this is Exhibit A. This is not an empty promise. It's not platitudes. It's not lacking a plan. These are hard contracts with teeth, lowering prices now that we will all feel. These are the most significant, historical, substantive, mathematically quantified price reductions in the history of our country in modern-day pharmaceuticals. I cannot thank you enough for your leadership in enabling this to happen. It is an absolute pleasure. The president has showed us that the impossible can be achieved, and that is what's happened today. God bless America. With that in mind, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Albert Bourla, CEO of Pfizer.
Pfizer CEO. Okay.
Mr. President, what an honor to be here today in this office to announce a landmark agreement. I think it's an historic day.
Is this the coolest office? He has a beautiful office, but the Oval is the coolest, right? What do you think?
I think by far. And I have seen other presidents' offices. There's nothing like that.
Yeah, it's good office.
Yeah. So it's an historic day because I think today we are turning the tide and we are reversing an unfair situation. For years, other rich nations refused to pay the fair share for the medical innovation. And as a result, Americans had to assume disproportional cost on their shoulders.
Yes.
This situation, we all knew, is not sustainable. This situation is a situation that many wanted to change.
We have been getting
but
screwed.
No one could. This is changing today with this agreement. In July, the president sent to me and other heads of pharmaceutical companies a letter. And over there, he articulated 4 specific requests. These requests, it was obvious to us, were designed to lower drug cost in the America in different ways, each one of them. And altogether, holistically, to have synergistic effect in the impact that that will have in the US healthcare cost and patients.
Yep.
With this deal that we signed today, we satisfied all 4 of President's requests, all 4. The big winner of this deal clearly will be the American patient. There is no doubt about it. They are the ones that will see significant impact in their ability to buy medicines. But I would argue that it is not the only winner. I think who else is a winner here? It is American innovation and American economy. In our industry, we had two major overhangs that have substantially reduced our valuations and create concerns for us in our ability to invest. Because President is absolutely right. Tariffs is the most powerful tool to motivate behaviors, Mr. President, and clearly motivated ours, right? So by this agreement that we did, we commit to onshore the production of our medicines that are consumed in the US and are made outside the US. And for that, we are ready to unleash our investment portfolio in this country. And the President graciously gave us a 3 years grace period that we will not be subject to the 232 tariffs, as long as, of course, we move the products here. That's one. The second overhang in our industry was this uncertainty. What will happen with the framework of pricing in the country? Because this uncertainty, it was what was holding people from investing in the pharmaceutical industry, which resulted in significant reduction of our multiples. Actually, our multiples are at historical low. Well, now we have clarity about what is the framework for the US pricing. Read the letter of President Trump, read the 4 points, and this is the framework. And we will abide to that, and going forward, this is how things will be priced in the US and abroad. We are ready to invest, as the President also mentioned, $70 billion in the next few years from Pfizer in manufacturing and research in America alone.
Wow.
I really think this is an historical moment because also I can put that behind us and focus on the things that I want to spend my time. Cancer treatments, to bring better obesity medicines, to bring better vaccines, to bring things that people value. And thank you for allowing us to do that. I want to thank Secretary Kennedy. I want to thank Secretary Latnik. Your leadership helped us to pull that together. You are the mastermind of everything, and without the brilliant way that you designed the whole thing, we wouldn't be able to make it happen. But you were even more brilliant because you had someone in your team that he was the driving force behind everything. And I don't have words to thank you for your integrity. And it is what you have said. We created trust from day one. And that was the most important thing that allowed us to be able to pull very difficult negotiations. Of course, also I want to thank the US trade representative, who is also heavily engaged, and he's probably the first trade representative that I have seen that cares about our industry and cares to do something about unfair situations out there, but more than anyone else. Mr. President, I want to thank you, for your leadership and, frankly, for your friendship. Thank you.
Albert, thank you very much. Great job. Great job.
Thank you, Mr. President. The growth of drug spending, that is, the increase in drug pricing, is the fastest and biggest increasing area of healthcare spending. So today's announcement has incredible implications for healthcare spending in the United States. And today marks the beginning of the end of the Great American Ripoff. And it also marks the beginning and the end of a great American tragedy, something I've seen as a physician at the bedside. Patients getting spun up into a financial rage, doing GoFundMe campaigns online, sending repeat reminders, asking people to donate, getting their churches to Sunday to try to get enough money to pay for a drug in the United States, a drug that's 5 or 10 times more expensive than the same drug in France or Germany or the UK. People get spun up, and it's a tragedy. Having cancer is hard enough. Getting spun up into a financial rage in order to try to get the money to pay for treatment makes it so much harder. 37% of people who go through cancer care say in the end that the financial toxicity makes them want to avoid or delay care in the future. That is, they're done with it. They're done with the system. That's how toxic financial toxicity can be. And for what? For what? So the U.S. can finance the R&D of the world? Well, that ends today, thanks to President Trump. So we want to see R&D. We want to see American pharmaceutical companies thrive. We want to see pharmaceutical companies that do business and manufacture in the United States thrive. At the FDA, we're doing our part. If you're going to equalize your price to that of other wealthy countries, we're not talking about Zimbabwe. We're talking about Germany, France, UK, Japan, other wealthy countries, the OECD countries. If you equalize your price, then we're going to put your future applications at the front of the line. A voucher to get a review in weeks has a market street value of about $500 million because every day is money when it comes to getting a drug approved. And so if you meet one of the president's national priorities stated very clearly, moving manufacturing to the United States, meeting a large unmet public health need, or equalizing your prices. We're the largest purchasers of drugs, so we deserve the best prices. And so we're going to do our part. And if a generic company makes their drug in the United States, that application is going to move to the front of the line as well. And if you're going to build a plant in the United States, our FDA inspectors will walk through that plant during the construction phase, something never done before, so that it's ready on day one. So thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. They said it couldn't be done, and here we are. Thank you.
Chris, you may want to go up and just show one of the boards about how quickly the prices come down. And these are small examples. We're going to have it over 1,000% in some cases. You'll see that during the week. But we just picked out 4 at random, and you see the kind of numbers. Bobby and maybe Albert, good.
If you are having audio issues, try reloading the stream on YouTube. This is a YouTube problem. Try reloading.
It's a historic agreement. There are many to come, and we're excited to talk about them. And that means hundreds and hundreds of drugs. We are not exaggerating when we talk about reductions of up to 80%. We give you 4 examples here. One for dermatitis. The new price, adenosine, results in 80% reduction to what's available today. One in postmenopausal osteoporosis, 85%. Migraines that affect so many Americans, 50% reductions. Rheumatoid arthritis, something my own mother struggled with, 40% reductions. This is about access. This is about ensuring Americans have access to life-saving medications. These are real prices. These are net prices. They're not made up. They're not funny numbers.
Thank you very much. Great job you've done. Everybody here has been incredible. We've been standing here talking about the Make America Healthy Again a lot lately, and I think our meeting the other day was excellent on a thing called Tylenol. That was a very important meeting. I think that was a very important meeting. And this, in terms of pricing, it's going to be great for Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. It's going to be great for everything because your medicine costs are coming way down. We have some examples that I think we'll be able to show you next week of over 1,000% in some cases, where a pill that cost $10 in London was costing $130 in New York and various other places within the United States. And the same thing with Canada. People would go to Canada, they'd go to Mexico, they'd go to other places to buy drugs. They don't have to do that anymore. So we have favored nations. So that's what we have. And it's one of the biggest days I think anybody will ever have. We're talking about massive numbers, and the numbers are going to get even better with a little time. And I will say, Albert, I think that the drug companies are going to be the same. You're going to, the world, we're really competing against the world, so they have more people. So we'll come down a lot, and the world's going to go up a little bit. And the end result is you're going to, I think, do the same business pretty much. Maybe you'll figure a way to do more business, I think, knowing you. But I think the drug companies, we're going to come down a lot. The U.S. will come down a lot, but the world, many more people, is going to go up a little bit, and it equalized, and it's a great tribute. And I want to thank everybody up here. J.D., thank you for all of your help too, and Howard, great, really great job. Thank you all very much. Do you have any questions? How about we focus on this?
Questions.
It's so big, let's focus on this.
Can you please give us a timeline?
Yeah, Mr. President, first of all, this kind of goes along with your America First campaign promises for lowering health care costs. On a day that it seems like we're going into a government shutdown led by Democrats on the premise of providing health benefits to illegals, this seems to, your move here is a stark contrast to that. Could the same principles that you did today apply to health insurance, to maybe lower the cost of health insurance? Many Americans are kind of struggling
and
with that.
we're working on just that, little different group, but we're working on just that. It could, I don't know to this extent. You know, we have a pill, one pill in particular we're going to show you next week. It sells for $10 in other countries and $137 in the U.S. And that's coming down now to probably $15 or $18. They'll go up to 18. I think that's pretty much right, Albert. It's not you, but they'll go up to 18 and we'll come down from 135 or whatever down to 18. I mean, that's a massive number. Remember, I was the one that held a news conference because I lowered drug prices by 1/4%. I think it was 1/8 of 1%, but it was the only one in 28 years that brought drug prices down for the year. But it was a very small number. Now we're talking about, you're going to see one over 1,000%. Look at these numbers. So, and this has a big impact, even on the discussion that we'll have with Chuck Schumer, who was here yesterday, along with a very nice gentleman who I didn't really know. You know who I'm talking about. The two of them came and we had a good discussion, and we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens. But this has a huge impact on that because these numbers are going to bring Medicaid. We talk about Obamacare. Obamacare is a failure. Obamacare is not good. It's there, but relative to other health care programs, it's in the lower 20%. It's not good. And I asked the Democrat representatives, what do you think about coming up with a better health care? This actually allows you to do that because the cost of prescription medicine is a very big, more than 50% the cost of what we're talking about. So we might be able to do something like that. This is one of the biggest news conferences from a medical standpoint that I think has ever been had by any administration. Yeah, please.
Thank you. I'm curious, where are the other companies other than Pfizer? Are you expecting them to come later?
They're all with us. And I was honored to have Albert be the first. He's done a fantastic job with, as you know, with the COVID. He did a fantastic job with a lot of things. He's a leader, and Pfizer is right at the top. You know, it's there. Eli Lilly has been fantastic also, your friend, my friend. And they're all coming in over the next week. We're making deals with all of them. And I said, if we don't make a deal, then we're going to tariff them an extra 5, 6, 7, 8%, whatever the difference is, and we'll take it that way. So we took away the advantage by the fact that we have tariffs. We took away the advantage that they would have of just saying no, and we couldn't do anything about it. If they do that, what we do is we'd put a tariff on them of an equivalent amount, and we take it that way. And nobody wants to play that game. So they're going to be, they're all going to be good. We didn't have to mention that to Albert. Well, maybe I whispered it to him very slightly, you know. We had to give ourselves a little bit of an advantage. But the tariffs played a big role because they know that's what's going to happen.
You mentioned the exemption of the 232s, but can you share a timeline for when we can expect the results of that 232 investigation?
Let Howard answer that question, please.
Sure. So while we're negotiating with these companies, we're going to let them play out and finish these negotiations because they are the most important thing to the American people. So we are standing by, helping and working with them, but the driver of the 232 outcomes is our HHS team because, I mean, look what they've accomplished today. So we are on their side helping them, but that is the model that's going to drive.
And you have to understand, Albert's spending $70 billion that he wouldn't be spending because of the tariffs, let's say, and other reasons. I think he liked the winner of November 5th, in all fairness, but because of the tariffs. And that wouldn't happen. He's not going to pay any tariffs because when he moves here, there are no tariffs. So he won't be paying tariffs. That's the beauty of it. If you move here, there are no tariffs. And we have over $17 trillion, Albert. You believe these numbers? So Biden had less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We have over $17 trillion for essentially 8 months. Pretty amazing.
When will prices come down, Mr. President? When can
Immediately. They're going to start coming down. Drug prices? Well, they'll be starting immediately. Yeah.
President, can you speak to what impact you think this reduction in drug prices will have on midterms coming up?
I think it's going to have a huge. I said, if we can pull this off before midterms, I've wanted to do it from the beginning, from my first day in first term. And we were doing so well. We had the greatest economy we've ever had. Everything was good. And then we're ready to do this, which is complex and big. It's a big change. But what happened is COVID came, and we focused on COVID. We focused on COVID very hard with Albert, with the other companies, with everybody. Regeneron was a great thing. You know, we did a lot of therapeutics that were fantastic. And so we focused on that. And I said, if I pull this off again, the first thing I'm going to do, and you know, we've been working on this for 8 months. This is a very big deal. This is a big shock to the system. But it's not as much as I said. They're going to go up. The world is going to go up a little bit. We're going to come down a lot. But now it's fair. We're going to be paying the same thing. Yeah, please.
Trump, in your first term, when you cut the price of insulin, Biden later came in. He tried to steal credit for that. Do you think do you worry that the Democrats are going to try to steal credit for these historic cuts?
I really appreciate your question, because I did. I cut the price of insulin down to $35.
Yep.
And the problem is with many of these things, in this case it's going to be pretty quick, but oftentimes you'll do something medically because of the process, and it won't be seen for 2 or 3 years. That happened also with, I could say 4 different things, but just if you talk about insulin, so it was 200, 300, 500, and you couldn't get it, and I got it down to 35. And I said, I hope I win the next election, because otherwise whoever wins is going to take credit for it. Well,
he did win.
What happened is we did win the election.
He did.
We did great. But unfortunately, it didn't work out that way from a practical standpoint.
He did win.
And Biden, when I saw him get up and take credit for the $35 and even less insulin, that was 1,000% lower than what it was just previous. Boy, I tell you, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. So I did the best I could to let him know we did it, because we want to be given credit. But we are the ones that got insulin down to that number. And you're right, they tried to take credit for it. They had nothing to do. In fact, they didn't even know what happened. All of a sudden, the insulin price kicked in at $35. And they asked Biden about it. He had no idea what the hell they were talking about. But after they explained, and they didn't really explain to him because he was not capable really of understanding it. But when they went out and talked about it, they acted like it was a great feat by Biden. It had nothing to do with him. And it continues, and we'll get it down even further. But insulin was, people weren't taking it, I would imagine. They couldn't take it. God bless you, Bobby. I hope I didn't catch COVID just there. Don't you have Paxlovid? What is it?
I have it here.
He's got Paxlovid. give me a Paxlovid immediately.
Nancy Pelosi is ignoring what you're doing for the American people. She's going after your administration for cutting taxpayer-funded health care for illegal aliens. Last night, Nancy Pelosi. She went on NBC last night, dropped a bunch of F-bombs, told Republicans to go F themselves. Has she lost her mind?
We have done an unbelievable job medically. Just this, if you did nothing else, we've done a lot like the insulin. But just this, nobody can ever catch this. This is the biggest price reduction times, maybe 10 times, 15 times than has ever been given before. And this is going to have a huge impact. You know, as I said, Obamacare is not a good thing. It's been bad. And I'd like to make it better. I told them, I spoke to a lot of people, a lot of Democrats recently. I said, why don't we change it? We can make Obamacare much better. We could come up with a new system that would be much better, less expensive for the people and better. This is maybe the biggest breakthrough, because you know, when you're talking about the prescription drugs, that's a big part of it. So we're going to look. This is prescription, but we're going to be looking at that. We could come up and through this whole thing, you know, because I don't know, we'll probably have a shutdown, because one of the things they want to do is they want to give incredible Medicare, the Cadillac Medicare, to illegal immigrants. And what that does is it keeps them coming into our country, and like they do in California. And no country can afford that. No country. And we have the border stopped up. We have it closed. We have nobody for 4 months. Zero people came in. That wasn't me. That's by the authorities who happen to be liberally oriented. But just think of that. We have people offering health care to people all over the world that they can't afford to pay. And that's what happens. What that does is it brings people into the country because they want to come in for the health care. But no country can afford it, and they can't afford it. So we cannot allow them to charge tremendous amounts of money for health care for people that aren't even citizens. And in many cases, they come in from prisons, jails, and mental institutions. And we can't let that happen. So we have a big fight over that. We have a fight over open borders. They still want open borders. We're having a fight over men and women's sports, if you believe it. You would have thought they would have learned that it's not a good issue. And we have a fight in transgender, as you know, transgender for everybody. And that, when you talk medically, that's a lot of money too. That's a lot. Those operations are bad. So those things are also being discussed right now. I mean, can you imagine we're actually talking about open borders, and we now have a great border, and we have a great country. Our country was dead 1 year ago. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Big difference. Yeah.
What does it say about the state of the Democrat Party when they have a 33% favorability rating on average in recent months?
It's bad.
And they're willing to shut down the government over health care.
They are shutting it down. We're not shutting it down. We don't want it to shut down because we have the greatest period of time ever. I told you, we have $17 trillion being invested. So the last person that wants it shut down is us. Now, with that being said, we can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. And you all know Russell Vought. He's become very popular recently because he can trim the budget to a level that you couldn't do any other way. So they're taking a risk by having a shutdown because of the shutdown, we can do things medically and other ways, including benefits. We can cut large numbers of people out. We don't want to do that, but we don't want fraud, waste, and abuse.
Cut them out.
And, we're cutting that. But they want to have illegal aliens come into our country and get massive health care at the cost to everybody else, and we don't have it. And that's I would say, the number one reason that they want to strike is to get illegal immigrants health care. And, Gavin Newsom wants that, too, in California, and it's destroying California. We can't have that. We're not going to let it happen.
Do you have a plan for dealing with drug companies that are responding to MFN only by raising prices overseas as opposed to lowering prices in the U.S.?
No, they're responding. I understand that question very well, but they're responding by lowering prices. They're helped by lowering prices. There's a price at which they can't sell, and they're helped by lowering prices. In the case of Albert and in the case of Eli Lilly, the fact is our prices are coming down massively. You see, that's just a few of the basics, but they're coming down much more than that with many drugs, and over 1,000%. Think of that, over 1,000% reduction. And we'll show you that next week because we have some of them on the board next week where you have over 1,000% price reduction. No, what's going to happen is you're going to have the market will kick in. This way, the market kicks in. The other way, it was just basically it was just a form of control. You were stifling the market. Yeah.
Following up on Brian,
At this point, is a shutdown inevitable? And how would you describe the negotiations with Democrats yesterday? Are more meetings scheduled?
So nothing is inevitable, but I would say it's probably likely because they want to give health care to illegal immigrants, which will destroy health care for everybody else in our country. And I didn't see them bend even a little bit when I said we can't do that. Okay?
Can I ask a question of Dr. Oz, Administrator Oz? If there is no deal reached on the Obamacare subsidies with the Democrats, is there anything that CMS can do to lower those, to mitigate the increases of those Obamacare subsidies?
Not really, but we have time. We have time till the end of the year to make the changes I know the president is evaluating, but we should have a clean continuing resolution, get past this budget process as it has happened so many times, and allow the president and leadership some freedom to be able to put some good ideas in front of the legislative bodies.
Mr. President, undocumented immigrants.
We actually do have time for that.
They're
Not eligible for the health care subsidies that Democrats are demanding. So can you
In
clarify,
sanctuary states,
what
they
you
are.
talking
They
about
are in sanctuary
when you say
states.
Democrats want to protect their health care?
Yes,
When
they are.
an illegal person comes in, a person who came into our country illegally, therefore breaking the law. And look, we all have big hearts. I have a bigger heart than you do. They're all breaking the law, and they're coming into our country. And we just, as a country, cannot afford to take care of millions of people who have broken the law coming in. We want them to come into our country, but we want them to come in legally. Now we have a strong border, very strong border.
I don't want them to come
thanks
in.
to Christie and
At
Tom Homan and the whole group. They've done an amazing job at the border. I mean, we had a border that was reckless. We had a border that was a disaster. They were coming in by the millions. I say 25 million people. You're saying less, but I say 25 million people came in illegally. And no system can take care of the health care of all of those people that came in. Now, a lot of them have gone out. We have over 11,000 murderers. We got many of them out. Many of those people have been taken out of the country, brought back to where they came from. In some cases, put in prison because they're so dangerous. We don't want to take them out. We have to watch them. We don't want them coming back. But if you look at what's happened in Washington, D.C. right now, it is such a place. I just drove through it, and it's clean and nice and beautiful, and people are walking around, and they're not afraid of being mugged. We haven't had murders. We haven't had anything happen in a long time. It took us 12 days to make it very good. It took us 20 days to make it beautiful. And now we're going to Memphis. But I think we should always keep a presence here, because if we don't keep a presence, it's going to come back never like it was, because we got rid of 1,700 career criminals. You know what that is? One career criminal can give you a lousy reputation for danger, because they commit many crimes a day in some cases. But Washington, D.C. is an unbelievable example of what can happen. And now we're going, as you know, to Memphis, which was very similar to Washington, very dangerous. And we're there, and we're working along very well with the governor, the mayor. A lot of these Democrat mayors, you know what they don't want to have us do well, because if we do well, it makes them look bad, and they shouldn't feel that way. If I were a Democrat and I was a governor or mayor, I'd be calling Trump. I'd say, get your troops over here, just help, because the mayor of Washington is getting a lot of credit for what we did, a lot of credit. But the beauty is, isn't it nice? Seriously, you walk down the street, you're not going to be mugged. You're not going to be hit. We had a meeting about 3-4 months ago, and I was saying to the media, how many of you people have been threatened or mugged or accosted during your walk to the White House? And they said, we don't walk to the White House anymore. But the answer was, remember, Brian, almost everybody's, look at this guy. They even attacked this big, strong guy, right? Didn't you get attacked? Did you? But yeah, just take a look at the other guy, right? What happened to the other guy? I don't know. Those other guys are pretty tough. They're tough with a gun in their hand, right? And yeah, you were hit pretty hard. But almost everybody was. And now, nobody. Anybody been accosted in the last 3 weeks? If I would have said that 6 months ago, half the hands would have been raised out. No, we have a very safe city now. The country's going to be safe. We're doing one at a time, and we'll be going to Chicago. I told you this, our Union Pacific, head of the railroad. He knows this country very well. Started off as a very low-rung employee of the Union Pacific. He's now chairman. He came to me and he said, sir, save Chicago. It's a great city. It's going down fast. They had 11 people killed over the last couple of weeks. 11 people killed. 48 shot. That's not a city. It's a war zone. There's no city in the world like that. And then we have to listen to this Pritzker get up. I know him well. They threw him out of his business, and the family threw him out of the business because he's a loser. But we have to listen to Pritzker get up. He should call me and say, get the troops in. You ever hear that? 11 people over a week and a half killed. And I think it's 48, when you add it up, 48 people shot. And then I have to listen to a governor say how nice it is. It's a wonderful experience. Now, what is a wonderful experience is D.C. People are eating in the restaurants. They just opened 2 new restaurants, which hasn't worked in years. And we had it pretty good 4 years ago. We were just getting ready to do this, but we did it right. And, we have a big victory in the Supreme Court. It's called merit. And so that includes the military. Our soldiers, did you see what they look like? These guys, they look like serious soldiers. They weren't playing games. And they went in there and they did a fantastic job. And Washington, D.C. is now a beautiful, safe city. The restaurants are thriving. The people are walking down the street holding their husband or their boyfriend's hand, and they're not worried about being raped or mugged or shot at. And it's been an amazing thing. And we'll do that in every city. We'll do them sort of one at a time. We'll do a couple at a time. And we have a tremendous force because, as you know, in recruitment numbers, when we put out 2 years ago, when Biden would put out recruitment, nobody would join. Nobody wanted to be in the military. Nobody wanted to be police. It was just announced this morning. You probably saw my speech over with the military, with the generals, admirals. Record numbers of people signing up for the Navy, the Army, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force. I love Space Force. That was my baby. But we have record numbers of people signing up, and that includes police department, fire department. So, you know, it's been an amazing thing. Well, we're going to have another meeting next week on this. We have another great company coming in, similar kind of numbers. But we're going to show you some 1,000% drops in prices. There has never been anything like this in the history of medicine, and it's an honor. And Albert, I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody behind me, because you are a great team. We have a great team. Everybody says you have a great cabinet. It's a great team. So thank you, Bobby. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, do not go anywhere, because now I really want to explain why what Trump did today with this new pharmaceutical drug pricing, Trump Rx is the name of the program, why this is a big deal. It's kind of mathematical and complex and maybe a little bit difficult to understand. We're not done. I want to explain exactly why this is a massive, colossal deal. I want to really help everybody understand, because this is a massive, colossal deal. So we're going to break this down. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this, folks. I've put together a list here for you folks. I've got a couple visuals that I want to talk through with you guys. So, folks, this is a list of the top 10 pharmaceutical drugs that have a different, egregious difference in price between the European Union and the United States of America. There's a list of 10 drugs here. In the US, this one costs $300,000. In the European Union, it costs $16,000. It costs 18.6 times more in the US. Harvoni, $94,000 in the US, $54,000 in the EU. Humira, $82,000 in the US, $19,000 in the EU. You can just these are the top 10 most egregious examples of disparate prices here. Xtandi, $140,000 US, $35,000 EU. Now, little interesting side note, these are the top 10 most egregious price differences. Guess how many out of the top 10 here were researched and developed in the United States of America? Out of the top 10, guess how many we created? Because keep in mind, all of these American pharmaceutical companies are subsidized by the American taxpayer. The U.S. taxpayers, that's you, that's us, we give these pharmaceutical companies an insane amount of money every year. We subsidize them. We pay, you, American taxpayer, you are directly paying for the research and development of these drugs, which then we have to pay out the ass for. Sorry, pardon my language. Whereas other countries, European Union member nations, they pay pennies on the dollar. The answer is 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 of these top 10 drugs that have egregious price differences between EU and NA, North America, USA, we subsidized the research and development. We created 9 of these 10 drugs. Okay? So when we talk about the American taxpayer getting absolutely ripped off and taken advantage of, this is what we're talking about. So what Trump has done, a couple months ago, President Trump signed an executive order that mandated that pharmaceutical companies need to match the European Union prices. You are not allowed to charge more to Americans than you are charging to Europeans in the European Union. Real quick, it's worth mentioning, why are the European Union drug prices so much lower? Well, they've got legislation and regulations mandating lower prices. The pharmaceutical companies have said, well, if we legally can't jack up the prices on European Union, we're just going to jack up the prices on Americans. And that is what they have done. So, reminder, you do not hate the pharmaceutical companies enough. They hate you. They have been taking advantage of you. They've been running a racket on you, on us. And so Trump got in the office, Trump got in the White House. He said, listen, hey, pharma bros, hey, pharmaceutical guys, the jig is up. The days during which the American taxpayers are subsidizing your research are done. The days during which you are ripping off the American taxpayer after they subsidized you are done. Now we're going to have some equality here. We're going to level out, we're going to equalize and level these prices. And so the White House themselves actually released a really great image here. They posted this, I saw on Twitter about 10 minutes ago. U.S. prices for brand name drugs are 422% higher than comparable countries. You can see there's the United Kingdom down there also. Okay, so this is U.S. retail price. Okay, and it's all standardized out to $100. So for every $100 you spend, American, on pharmaceutical drugs, on brand name drugs, in Canada, they are spending 30. In France, they are spending 22. In Germany, they're spending probably 25. In Italy, they might be spending 28. You're getting ripped off by a factor of like 4, 3.5, 4, or 5 times. You are getting ripped off. You, us, we, you, Americans, we've been getting ripped off. And so Trump, this is why Trump's big executive order, and he's finally worked out the deal, said, listen, pharmaceutical companies, you are not allowed to rip off the American taxpayer anymore. You are not allowed to charge more to Americans than what you charge to Europeans. It is over. The jig is up. This is a massive deal, okay? Because once again, yeah, we are paying for the research. All of these life-saving drugs that are keeping people alive and extending people's lives and all its beautiful, medicinal breakthroughs. You and I are paying for it. We are paying for it. You, American taxpayer, we have been subsidizing it. So yeah, so Trump said, listen, this is a racket. It's done. It's over. The official White House page posted another little graphic I want to show you here. Prescription drugs with huge discounts will be available at Trump Rx. They gave 4 example drugs here of price decreases. Take a look at this. Eucrisa, which is a dermatitis drug, is going to see immediately an 80% discount. Duavi, a postmenopausal osteoporosis drug, 85% discount immediately. Zavspret for migraines, 50% discount immediately. Xeljanz, rheumatoid arthritis, that's a big one, 40% discount. Between these 4 drugs here, these illnesses here affect 100 million Americans nationwide, up to 85% savings on some of these drugs. And this is just a short list. There are dozens and dozens, hundreds of drugs that will see a reduction in price that now you will be able to purchase on the Trump Rx. There's going to be a new government webpage, a new website. I don't know if it's live. Is it live yet? TrumpRx.gov. I don't know. I don't see it yet, but presumably soon, later today, I don't know, soon, this Trump Rx website will be launched and you will be able to just buy these drugs on the internet, I guess. And, I'd probably talk to your doctor. If you have a doctor, I'd probably talk to your doctor about it. And get them clued in. But so when I was saying, earlier on in today's show that this really is a massive, massive deal for tens of millions, hundreds of millions of Americans, this is a massive deal. You want to talk about making things more affordable and reducing prices for prescription medication and also over-the-counter medication, I believe. Big deal. Massive deal. We are done getting ripped off. We are done subsidizing the healthcare of Europeans. By the way, Europeans, a little reminder, I love Europeans. I do. I'm America first, but I do love the Europeans. In fact, I love Europeans so much, I even married one of them. My beautiful wife and I, we shared our 5-year wedding anniversary a couple days ago. She's a German woman. She's all the way from Germany, as German as can be. So I love the Europeans. I do. Literally, I do. But listen, the American taxpayers have been subsidizing the healthcare costs of Europeans for decades. The Europeans love to brag about their cheap healthcare, blah, blah, blah. Listen, well, Europeans, you haven't had to really worry about a defense budget because we have been paying for your continental defense. Americans have been paying for your defense. Never forget that. And then beyond that, we've also been subsidizing and reducing the healthcare and medical costs, the drug prices in Europe as well. The proof is in the pudding. So listen, it is time that we have a little bit of what's the word I want to use here? Equity. We need to level the playing field here. Listen, the days during which Americans are getting ripped off have come to an end. We're done. Trump is back in the White House. As we like to say, America first. What does that mean? The Americans, the people, that's us, also come first. America first, and the Americans therein are now coming first. That's what that means. Folks, that is going to be a wrap up for today's broadcast. This was really a great announcement. I know maybe unless you're taking Medicare, you're like, who cares? Big deal. I'm not an old person. I'm not sick. I don't take medication. This is a really big deal. This is a really, really big deal for a lot of people on a day-to-day basis, people that are barely getting by. This is a big deal. Massive, immediate impact on the lives of Americans on a daily basis. Big deal. So this is worth talking about. Thank you all very much for tuning in. I will be back in 6 hours for our daily scheduled broadcast, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Western. I'm not exactly sure. Frankly, we will probably be talking about the government shutdown. We're going to talk about that tonight, I think. So come back 6 hours from now for our daily scheduled broadcast. Everybody drop a follow, subscribe, like. I appreciate it. This was an emergency broadcast. We had to do it, and I'm glad we did. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you very much. God bless everybody. I'll see you in a couple hours. And until then, everybody stay safe, and thank you for tuning in. See you guys later today.